Hey Nick, are you there?
Yeah, what's up? Can you hear me? Hello?
Can't. I don't know if you can hear me.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Lauren. Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Hi there. I can't hear. I don't know if the it's up here.
Still can't hear me?
I still can't hear anything.
Sorry.
Hey, I'm just trying
I can
to.
hear you.
You can hear me, but
Yeah.
are you able to hear?
I can hear him too.
Oh, you can.
Yeah. You can't hear anything?
No, I can't. Okay, sorry.
What do we got here? Let's see. Speakers should be.
Is that Nicholas? Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. I think
We're good?
Great, thank you.
Okay.
And could pin him whenever you get a chance, just to make sure that it doesn't bounce back and forth between.
Sure.
Thank you so much. All right.
All right, Lauren, I'll go grab the secretary for you.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem. Hi, Lauren. Joe Don Cheney.
Hi, Joe Don. How are you?
Good. How are you today?
I am well. Thank you for asking.
Good. Hey, the secretary will be here momentarily. Give
Okay.
1 minute,
Okay, sure, absolutely.
and he'll be right here. So we're talking the abortion case, right?
Yes, we are.
About his
Just
statement. He issued a
yes,
statement. Did you guys get that statement? Do you have that?
I do. I did, and some of my questions are. I just have a couple of brief questions that are kind of based on that as well. And we did, but we were able to receive that statement. So thanks for
Great.
issuing that to us.
Great. And if you need any follow-up after the interview, please reach out. We'll be happy to help.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Great. All right. He'll be right here.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, one
No
of those
problem.
days.
I totally understand. Thank you so much for meeting with us. We really appreciate your time.
Happy to. Let me make sure my phone should not make any noises. Okay.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for speaking with us today. I just have a couple of quick questions
Sure.
based on the portion ruling and your statement that came
Yeah.
directly after that. So we can just hop right into it. The first question I have for you is, I know that you, of course, have put out a statement condemning the ruling regarding the abortion initiative language. Can you talk a little bit more about the language that you use initially versus the rewrite that the judge is trying to uphold?
Well, the first thing I would mention, and I don't mean to avoid your question, but if you read the judge's judgment, he never once refers to the actual language of the initiative petitions. Everyone that is looking at this language, that's writing language, it's all supposed to be the foundation. It's all supposed to come from the actual language of the initiative petitions. When the judge presents his language, he doesn't explain why it's better than what we submitted based on the initiative petitions. He never says, this is what the initiative petition says. This is why what the Secretary of State put out was wrong. He just says, almost as if he's a king of old, I don't like it, and we're going to use different language. There's a real failure of understanding here to understand that I don't write language in a vacuum. I don't just say, what is it I think about abortion? I'll write that. Or what is it I think about right to work? Or what is it I think about the Second Amendment? I have to look at what the individuals that filed the initiative petition say in that initiative petition. And I go line by line, word by word through that initiative petition and use that as my guide. And to have a judge that really phoned it in and doesn't even explain the ruling is the people of the state deserve better.
Absolutely. And I know some of the opponents in particular have talked a little bit more about the use of language as being harmful. I know you just mentioned the initiative petitions that you go through. Can you talk a little bit more about your language specifically and what that looks like?
Yeah, one of the things that the court seemed to not like, we don't know why, because he didn't tell us, didn't go back to the initiative petition, just stuck his finger up in the air and said, I don't like it. We talked about dangerous, unregulated, unrestricted. Well, that sounds pretty severe. But when you look at the language of the initiative petition, and sadly I don't have it in front of me right now, they did not require a medical degree. Not a doctor, didn't require you to have a nursing degree, didn't require the individual providing the abortion to be a paramedic, didn't require any sort of medical treatment for people that would be performing abortions. And they said, you can't restrict it anyway. They then said that if someone does perform an abortion and the mother dies through negligence, medical malpractice, through anything like that, there can be no punishment for the individual for doing that. And when I looked at that, this is not me just saying, well, you know, hypothetically, in my mind, you could end up with dangerous, unregulated, unrestricted abortions. I looked at what happened in the state of Pennsylvania. Real world example. Kermit Gosnell, in a heavily restricted state, did even worse than that, was convicted on 200 plus counts, got a life sentence without the possibility of parole, killed, and I think they said he killed 4 people. But under this initiative petition, I don't think they could have prosecuted him for anything if this had been the law of the land in Missouri and had done it here. I'm not just making stuff up. I'm actually looking at the real world, looking at what has happened and saying, if you're going to take away anything that protects the mother, that makes sure that there's, you know, a sterile environment, that the tools of equipment has been sterilized, you name it, that doesn't require a medical professional, doesn't require the ability to get them to a doctor or a hospital in a certain amount of time, that's dangerous. That's unregulated, because the language of the initiative petition talks about not being able to do anything to get in the way of the mother that wants to have an abortion. So people may not like it, but what I said was what the initiative petition says. And I think it's really disappointing that you would have a judge that wouldn't even explain the reason.
Absolutely. And I also want to ask you about something that you had just mentioned, which was specifically about the non-requirements of medical licenses, or specifically delving into medical malpractice. Are you seeing specific examples or hearing about any particular cases that were brought before you about that malpractice there?
Well, in Missouri, we have those rules and regulations, so we don't have to worry about that. Regardless of where you stand on abortion, whether you know, mother's right or no, we shouldn't do that. In Missouri, previously, it's been regulated with the idea of, at least, whether or not you like it or not, let's make it as safe for the mother as possible. This would wipe out all of that. Even if you go back to Roe v. Wade and the ability to put restrictions on abortions, depending on viability, as the court talked about. If you go back and read the Supreme Court, they talk about the fact that you have to be able to have regulations to protect the mother, and that's wholly appropriate. For those that would say, and I don't know that the judge said this, but this constitutional amendment that is being proposed, should it go collect enough signatures and be voted on by the people of the state, it would take the state not back to Casey, not back to Roe. It would be far beyond where Roe was, because it would say you can't do that. And once again, I'm sorry, I don't have any of the initiative petitions in front of me, so I can't read that to you directly. My apologies.
No worries there. And I do kind of have a follow-up
Sure.
about that specifically. I know that specifically as abortion has been something that has been pushed to the forefront of your candidacy for governor. I just want to ask you, how do you help ensure Missourians that you are advocating for their best interest rather than the interest of certain special groups?
Well, I've always advocated for the best interest of the people of Missouri. I'm not advocating any differently now than I ever have. I have always believed that we need to do everything we can for every child, and that we should do more as a state for mothers that are going through a very difficult situation. I, as a man, I can't know how difficult it is, but I've been told, and I believe them, that that can be very difficult, very emotional. Just, it can be a struggling time. And we also we should be a state that not only protects children in the womb, makes sure that mothers going through an unplanned pregnancy or a difficult pregnancy, or you name it, know that there is support, know that they will be taken care of, know that this will not have a negative impact on their ability to be successful in life. But we also need to focus on kids. How do we have a better foster care system? And by my definition, a good foster care system isn't a big system that takes care of lots of kids. Well, it's a system that gets kids to forever families, to where they're not in the foster care system, where they have a mom and dad that they wake up to every morning, and that they can live to be the best that they can be. That's what I'm looking for. How do we be the state that also works to make sure that when kids, for whatever reason, need to be adopted, it's easy to find loving families where they'll be cherished and given the opportunity to do this? That's nothing new for me.
Absolutely. And my last question for you is, I understand at this point that you are ready to appeal this decision. And specifically, are you more so looking into reintroducing some of the language that you have already had from these initiative petitions at this point, or will you reorganize that language at all?
Well, we do not have the authority by statute to change language now. We came up with language that actually fit the initiative petition that was approved by the Attorney General, that was certified. Now it's in the courts. Now there's the judicial system is where we can fight over that. But I mean, even if you would disagree about particular words, I mean, if we look at the end of the page 7 of the judgment by the judge, he says the bullet point would be read: there's 5 bullet points. They all come off of, do you want to amend the Missouri Constitution to? So the 5th bullet point could be read, do you want to amend the Missouri Constitution to declare government funding of abortion is not required? This does not do that. That's not in the initiative petition. It would not amend the Constitution to say that government funding of abortion is not required. That's not just my view of that. It's not there. It doesn't do that. And so, I mean, it's not only that he didn't show what the law or what the initiative petition could do, which is what we're required to do at the Secretary of State's office. It's not only that he didn't even show his work, something that I would have taken off of my students back when I was at the community college. I would have said, hey, you got to show your work. He didn't even do that. But then he was abjectly wrong. This is just not true. And that's not, I believe, or you believe, or whatever. That's not in the initiative petition. So unfortunately, clearly, we have to appeal this because the circuit court judge just didn't do his job.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate this and you kind of helping to understand a little bit more about what this has looked like for your office and just a little bit more about this ruling in general.
I really appreciate you doing this. Sadly, if this gets to the ballot, most people will only read that simple summary. And I would really encourage anyone, if it gets to the ballot, read the whole thing. Don't use me to tell you what it is. Don't use the court to tell you what it is, or TV ads or radio ads. Read it for yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time, Secretary Ashcroft. I really appreciate your time. And that's all I had for you.
Thank you very much. Happy to talk to you.
Thank you so
Oh,
much.
I was late.
No worries at all. Thank you.
Thanks.